Hold up. This ain't just
People
another
look at
rookie
this
drama.
picture and they say Clark
Caitlin
is getting
Clark
an early
just made
start
the
on
boldest
recruiting.
move of her
Head coach Stephanie
WNBA
White
career,
is so against
demanding
Caitlin
big-time
Clark.
changes
She's getting
inside the
battered
Indiana
right
Fever
in,
camp
right
after she
out,
found out her own
pushed around,
coach was moving
battered.
shady behind the
Her confidence
scenes.
has been
And what triggered
destroyed
it?
by coaches.
A leaked
Recreate
report
Iowa.
claims the
Build
coach
a
sided
new
with
team
other
around
players
her.
over
Caitlin
Caitlin,
either need to get the
dismissing
hell
her
out of Indy,
concerns,
because it's very,
questioning her
very
leadership,
clear that Stephanie White is not the
and
right
even
coach for
blaming
Caitlin
her
Clark.
privately
Stephanie
for the
White
team's
does not want
struggles.
Caitlin Clark to
But
shoot
Johnny,
the ball.
Caitlin
If I have
ain't
two
quiet.
back-to-back in a row,
She
like, I'm
confronted
probably
the
gonna
coaching
launch us
staff,
through. Your confidence
walked
just
into a
builds.
This team
meeting,
doesn't go anywhere without
demanded
Caitlin Clark's
lineup
team.
and leadership
There's so many things
changes
that are
on
going
the
wrong
spot.
right now in Indiana.
Insiders
with
say
how
she's
this
threatened
Caitlin
to go to
Clark
the
shit has
league.
been working out,
And now,
it's
folks
one
are getting
thing after
nervous.
the other after-
Is this the moment the Indiana Fever finally wakes up? Or are we watching the start of a full-blown collapse from the inside out? Buckle up, because this just happened 2 minutes ago, and it's about to get messy. It all started with a simple tweet. It's just 15 words. Things are falling apart in Indiana. And Caitlin Clark is done being silent. Nobody knew who posted it first, but once that message hit Twitter X, everything changed. Within minutes, fans were on full alert. What happened? Why is Caitlin Clark trending again? And what does this silence tweet really mean? At first, it just seemed like WNBA fan gossip. But then, a verified source dropped the real bomb. Caitlin had just walked out of a private team meeting. Looking furious, no cameras, no press. But insiders said she slammed her water bottle on the table and told coaching staff, "If y'all won't make the changes, I will." The entire locker room froze. And just like that, we had a full-blown Indiana Fever crisis unfolding behind closed doors. The BICKS2, or why, let's rewind. It's 48 hours. Indiana Fever was coming off another tough loss, their 4th straight. Despite Caitlin Clark putting up 22 points, 9 assists, and 4 threes from deep, fans could see it clear as day. Caitlin was doing her part. But something was off. The team looked disconnected. Rotations were sloppy, chemistry non-existent, and even worse, Caitlin kept getting pulled at key moments. Just as she was heating up, the fans started asking, why is Coach Knox benching her in the 4th? Why is the offense running through players who can't score? Is someone trying to sabotage Caitlin's rhythm? It didn't take long for the internet to turn their attention to head coach Justine Knox, a respected figure, sure. Lately, her decisions were getting weird, benching Caitlin during closing minutes, letting veteran players ignore set plays. Even reports of private team group chats where Caitlin wasn't included. Now that's where things got shady. The leak that started a Tiala Fever staffer who requested anonymity leaked screenshots.
Sees that the Indiana Fever need help with getting players. They don't think she's worthy of building around.
Screenshots to a WNBA news outlet showing a text convo between 2 unnamed Fever players, and the texts. They referred to Caitlin as media's darling. Hype girl. She thinks she's Steph Curry, but don't even play D. Worse, they joked about the coach protecting the vets and keeping the rook in check. The story exploded. Fans were furious. Social media turned into a war zone. Why y'all jealous of the only one putting up points? Coach really letting this high school drama ruin the team? No wonder they losing its sabotage from inside. The hashtag free Caitlin started trending. Then came the real spark. The practice meal to doing sources say during the team's closed-door practice, Caitlin confronted Coach Knox directly. Not with attitude, not with yelling, but with a clear, pointed message. I'm not here to play politics. I'm here to win. If you got a problem with me, say it. But don't hide behind rotations and favoritism. Everyone went silent. One teammate tried to cut her off, reportedly saying, "It's not about you, Caitlin." But Caitlin clapped back. "It's about the team, and I am the team's leading scorer." The fans know it. The league knows it. But apparently, this locker room forgot. Coach Knox told her to focus on her role. That's when Caitlin snapped. "My role? Do you mean carrying this team while y'all pretend the system's working?" Boom! She grabbed her towel, threw her water bottle at the bench, and walked straight out of practice. And 30 minutes later, the tweet dropped. The media, ERUPT Sports Center, Bleacher Report, ESPN WTMZ Sports. Everybody picked it up. Caitlin Clark walks out of Fever practice after locker room rift. Sources say Clark demands lineup changes after internal betrayal. Coach knocks on the hot seat after Clark meltdown. And fans, they were in full DEFCON 1. Caitlin Clark deserves better. Hashtag FireKnocks. Hashtag let her cook. Even WNBA vets started chiming in. Diana Taurasi, who'd previously been critical of Caitlin, said on IG Live, "If I dropped 20 plus a night and still got sidelined, I'd flip too." Candace Parker tweeted, "You either build around your stars or you lose them. Period." The roster RAF to new rumors started to swirl that Caitlin had privately given the Fever a list of 3 changes she wanted. Change the offensive scheme. Let her run point full-time. Cut back minutes for a key veteran guard who had been reportedly undermining her. More accountability from Coach Knox, or she walks. Yep, you read that right. Multiple insiders claimed. Caitlin threatened to request a trade if things didn't change. She reportedly told Fever execs, "If I can't trust my coach, how can I trust the process?" And guess what? It's a Fever front office. It's panicked. They immediately scheduled a crisis meeting for the next morning. Execs, coaches, and Caitlin included. No cameras, no press, just business. And what happened next? Hugh Johnny. That's where things went left. The meeting that changed everything, 8 a.m. sharp. The entire Fever leadership, GM, Coach Knox, Caitlin, and a team rep sat around a small table in the Fever conference room. Caitlin walked in calm. No hoodie, no headphones, just laser dash focused. Coach Knox opened her notebook. "Let's talk." Caitlin didn't wait. "I don't feel
Clark is the face of a league. There's one person in this league that when she walks in the building, when she walks in the room, the owners see dollar signs. There's only one person and her name's Caitlin.
I don't feel supported. Being frozen out of rotations. I'm being treated like a problem, not a solution. And if that's the case, I'll take my talents somewhere else." The GM blinked. Coach Knox tried to cut in. "This isn't the NBA, Caitlin. You don't do power plays here." Caitlin leaned forward. "It's not a power play. It's survival. Because if you lose me, you lose the fans. It's the momentum, the future." Mic drop. Fans still don't know the exact outcome of that meeting, but we do know this. Coach Knox didn't show up to shoot around the next day. A new assistant coach took over media duties. The Fever posted a cryptic message on IG. Restructure, refocus, rebuild, and guess who reposted it? Caitlin Clark. With 3 emojis, the fallout from Caitlin. Clark's explosive confrontation with Indiana Fever management was immediate. The team didn't issue a statement. The league didn't step in, okay? But fans, players, and media, insiders could all feel it. Something inside that locker room had shifted. And it wasn't just about tension anymore. It was about control. Because Caitlin Clark had just walked into that closed-door meeting and made it crystal clear. Either this team gets serious about winning or she walks. But behind the scenes, the situation was getting even uglier than the public realized. The locker room div. Multiple sources started confirming what fans had only suspected for weeks. There was a divide, a real one. 2 sides were forming in the Fever locker room, and Caitlin Clark was at the center of it. On one side, a group of veteran players who had been with the franchise through losing seasons, injuries, coaching changes, and more. These players weren't thrilled about a rookie coming in with headlines, endorsements, and viral attention. They believed respect had to be earned slowly, quietly, and on the other side, a growing number of teammates who had seen enough, who knew the numbers, who watched the games, and who recognized that Caitlin wasn't just hype, she was production, playmaking, and leadership all in one. The line had been drawn, and now people were choosing sides. The vet whisperer gets EXPOST1 fever. Assistant coach, known inside the locker room as the vet whisperer, had allegedly been acting as a middlewoman between the coaching staff and the older players. But what nobody knew is that she had been actively pushing back against giving Caitlin more control. A leaked voice memo, obtained by a sports blog, reportedly featured her saying, "We can't just hand over the keys to someone who's only been here 5 minutes. This is still our team." The moment that clip went public, fans exploded. Our team? You mean the team that's been at the bottom for years? This is why the Fever has been losing. Ego over excellence. Spee's been here 5 minutes and already doing more than half the roster. People weren't holding back. They started naming names, speculating, guessing who was behind the coldness, the shade, the refusal to adjust, and the biggest name that kept popping up: veteran guard Renee Mathers. Renee Mathers under fire.
Stephanie White is not the right coach for Caitlin Clark. We are going to question Stephanie White's ability to specifically coach Caitlin Clark.
Stephanie White is so against Caitlin Clark. It's clear as day. And it's very much clear as day that this front office dropped the ball in hiring her.
That line hit like a grenade. Fans reposted it. Players noticed it. Behind the scenes, people started cleaning up their behavior. The commissioner CIL less 1 week later, WNBA Commissioner Jessica Adams called Caitlin directly, not for punishment, not for optics. But for partnership. Sources say the commissioner told her, "This league is shifting. You're at the center of it, okay? And how you lead from here matters more than ever." Caitlin agreed. She wasn't trying to be a villain. She didn't want to be the reason people got traded, benched, or embarrassed. But she also wasn't going to shrink herself just to make others comfortable. "I'm not here to blend in," she told the commissioner. "I'm here to win. And I'm done waiting." It's the Fever's new era BGINS. Over the next 2 weeks, things started to fall into place. Coach McNair restructured the rotation. Caitlin ran point. Full dash time. Team chemistry slowly improved. Shots fell. Defenders moved with purpose. Renee Mathers was traded to Washington for a future draft pick and a role player. And the Fever. Renee was a respected vet, a leader, someone who had carried the franchise through rough times. But in recent weeks, her stats had dipped. Her turnovers were up. Her shot was inconsistent. And her body language on the court when Caitlin had the ball? Icy. Now fans started digging. Old interviews where Renee gave short answers about Caitlin. Clips where she visibly rolled her eyes after being subbed out for Clark. And then a podcast episode from 2 weeks ago surfaced where Renee said, "Leadership ain't about highlights. It's about sacrifice." The context didn't matter. The timing did. Fans were convinced. This wasn't just miscommunication. This was resistance. And Caitlin. She'd had enough. The internal shakeup began the morning after the now infamous closed-door meeting. The Fever made a quiet but clear move. Renee Mathers was moved to the second unit. No press release. No statement. It's just a silent shift in the rotation during practice. Sources say Caitlin didn't ask for anyone to be benched by name. But her message was clear. Let the best players play. Let production speak louder than politics. And for the first time the coaching staff listened. Players were shook. Insiders said the locker room was uncomfortable, with a couple veterans refusing to speak to media. One unnamed player reportedly said, "She's blowing up the team from the inside." But others, they were celebrating. Because finally, someone was demanding accountability. Coach Knox, DSAPPEOS. Meanwhile, Coach Knox was nowhere to be found. The head coach, who had been under pressure for weeks, was now away from the team for personal reasons, according to the front office. The timing couldn't have been worse. No head coach, no team statement, just a growing firestorm of questions, tension, and public.
So professionally, like that Liberty game, I feel like as a shooter, like when you see like 2 or 3 go in, for me, like if I have 2 back-to-back in a row, like I'm probably gonna launch a third that maybe isn't advised by Steph, but like I gotta get it up. And then if the third goes in, like you're just hot. I think as a shooter, like your confidence just builds and builds and builds. It's just coming off your hand.
Public pressure. Fans started trending. Hashtag FireKnox. Sports talk shows started predicting her replacement. And Caitlin. She showed up to practice like nothing happened, fully locked in. Running drills, taking extra shots, leading film sessions. That kind of energy, it was contagious. And younger players started following her lead. The shift had begun. Teammates start speaking O2 to players, both second-year Fever guards anonymously told a reporter. Caitlin's not arrogant, she's serious. That's the difference. She doesn't want attention. She wants to win. Another said she doesn't care about credit. She just wants people to show up and do their jobs. And just like that, the narrative flipped. It wasn't about ego anymore. It was about results. And even critics started coming around. The game that changed EVRY to Challenge. Then came the game. Fever versus Sparks. No coach Knox. New rotations. Caitlin running point. Renee Benched. And what happened? Caitlin dropped 31 points, 12 assists, and 6 rebounds. The Fever won by 14, their biggest margin all season. And after the game, the post-game interview was short but powerful. Reporter, what changed tonight? Caitlin, accountability. No smile, no gloating, just facts. The clip went viral within an hour, and then a WNBA commissioner reposted it with the caption, "Culture Shift." The locker room REACTO, and back in the locker room, things were tense. Some players celebrated the win, others sat silent. Renee didn't speak to the media, but Caitlin made sure to dap up every player who contributed. Backups, bench, starters. Because for her, this wasn't about being the face. It was about fixing a culture that had been broken long before she arrived, and whether people loved her or hated her. They knew one thing now. Caitlin Clark wasn't just here to play. She was here to change everything. The win against the Sparks was supposed to calm things down. It didn't. If anything, it raised the stakes. Because now that the Fever had proof Caitlin Clark running the offense actually worked, fans, media, and executives were all asking
This is the game where Caitlin Clark hit 5 threes in the first half. This is the game where Caitlin was on like an all-time heater, and then randomly, she just stopped shooting.
the same question. What happens next? Is Caitlin taking over for real? Or was that one night just a fluke? And most importantly, what happens to the people who stood in her way? The front office gets IONVOLV. To sources close to the Fevers, GM said internal pressure was at an all-time high. Ownership had started asking tough questions. Why was Caitlin being benched late in games? Who authorized certain players to override her play calls? And why had Coach Knox disappeared without a clear explanation? The answers weren't good, so the front office started making moves. First, they held a meeting with all assistant coaches, warning that player sabotage, favoritism, or resistance to change will not be tolerated. Second, a private call with Caitlin, her agent, and her family to reassure them that the organization is committed to building around her moving forward. Third, a quiet but very real warning sent to the rest of the team: adapt or move on. The trade rumors began within 24 hours. Trade rumors started popping up on insider blogs and Twitter accounts. 3 names came up repeatedly. Renee Mathursay, bench forward known for stirring up locker room tension, and a veteran point guard who allegedly laughed when Caitlin got fouled hard in a recent game. Teams like Phoenix, Dallas, and Washington were rumored to be exploring trade packages. Caitlin herself didn't comment, but fans knew what was happening. This wasn't personal, this was business. And the business was winning: a new head coach. Then came the next bombshell. Just before the Fever's next game, WNBA reporters broke the news. Coach Justine Knox had officially stepped down. The team called it a mutual decision. But insiders said otherwise. She was pushed out quietly. To avoid public embarrassment, the new interim head coach, Fever assistant and former player, Cheryl McNair, known for her no-nonsense leadership style and respect for younger talent. Her first press conference was short and icy. We're gonna run the offense through our strongest weapon. We're gonna play fast. We're gonna play smart. And we're gonna let winners lead. The message was loud and clear. Caitlin Clark had officially become the centerpiece of the Indiana Fever. Caitlin's RSPO NIC after Coach McNair's announcement. Caitlin finally spoke in a sit-down interview with a local reporter. She stayed composed but direct. I didn't ask for this much attention, but I'm not afraid of it either. I came here to win. It's all I care about. When asked about Coach Knox's departure,
I have 2 back-to-back in a row. Like, I'm probably going to launch a third that maybe isn't advised by Steph, but like I got to get it up. And then if the third goes in, like, you're just hot. I think as a shooter, like, your confidence just builds and builds and builds. It's just coming off your hand better. The rim looks big.
Departure, she paused. Sometimes leadership changes. Sometimes systems don't fit. That's all I'll say. Then she added, I'm not here to fight my teammates. I want us to succeed together. But I can't carry dead weight. They won 3 out of their next 4 games. Caitlin averaged 27 points, 10 assists, and 5 rebounds during that stretch. And most importantly, she smiled again. She laughed with teammates. She hyped up bench players. She threw no-look dimes and pointed at the crowd like the old college days. Fans noticed, so did the league, so did the haters. The statement that shook the LAGUE before a nationally televised matchup against the Las Vegas Aces. Caitlin was asked, what would you tell other rookies coming into a league that isn't always ready for them? Her answer, they'll never be ready. That's the point. You don't wait for space, you take it. It's just like you take a shot when you're open. You go for it. And if people don't like it, that's their problem. Fans erupted online, players reposted it, legends quoted it. One tweet summed it up perfectly. Caitlin Clark didn't just change the Indiana Fever, she changed the energy of the entire WNBA. But not everyone's HAPP wine. All players are thrilled with the new direction. Some think Caitlin's rise is moving too fast. Others quietly question if she's earned this level of power, and a few still bitter continue to throw subtle shade during interviews, but the truth doesn't matter because the fans are watching. The wins are stacking. And Caitlin's leadership is speaking for itself. This isn't about favoritism anymore. It's about results. And when the results show that one player is carrying the weight, people either step up or step aside. What's next? Now that the Fever have found their identity, the league's watching closely. Can they keep it up? Can Caitlin keep leading without burning out? And most importantly, can the rest of the WNBA adapt to a new kind of leader? One who didn't come in quietly and climb her way up, but walked through the door and said, this is mine now. Story's not over. But one thing's clear. Caitlin Clark isn't just playing basketball. She's reshaping the game, one confrontation, one win, and one headline at a time. What we just witnessed wasn't about drama. It was about power, leadership, and accountability. Caitlin Clark didn't come into the league asking for permission. She demanded change and backed it up with numbers, wins, and a voice that couldn't be silenced. But now the question is yours. Did Caitlin go too far? Was the coaching shakeup overdue?
I do not want Caitlin Clark to shoot the ball. It's clear as day. She want to run this motion offense.
Oh, didn't want her to shoot that 3. And I understand. You can't tell a shooter not to shoot.
And do you think this is the beginning of a dynasty or just the calm before another storm? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Are you Team Caitlin, Team Fever, or Team Blow It All Up and Rebuild? And if this story had you locked in, hit that like, smash subscribe, and tap the bell so you never miss another twist in the WNBA takeover. Because here, we tell the stories they don't want you to hear.